The harsh reality is that a woman that actually wants to be with you is not going to say that to you. It doesn't matter if the house is 800,000 and she know you only make 200. I'm gonna give you the 6 or I'm gonna pay for the 8 because I want you. It's not about the money. I think we gotta remove our ego from that perspective. And I understand that that's a tricky space, you know. But the fact of the matter is that current day, what we're seeing, and I'm sure you may have experienced women that speak like that. But the fact of the matter is, and we've talked about this on this same panel, is that in many cases, women do the group thing. They will say what other women are saying just to agree with it and just to go to be on code with it. But behind closed doors, it's a completely different thing. So again, the fact of the matter is that if this woman is about you and she wants to be with you, regardless if she makes more money than you or not, she is going to be willing to put up whatever it may cost for us, the one pot, the unit, to be in this house safely. That's just my perspective.
But Viz, that's not what he said, though.
I agree with you, by the way. I
He's
agree
saying
with you.
the opposite. He's saying that women that they wouldn't want to do that. That's what he just said, that women are saying that they don't want to do that.
I thought he said that a woman said she wanted to be independent and wanted to pay for half the house.
No, I'm saying that's what they say, but when it comes down to it, they don't want to do that. So women will talk a good game about all this money they make, but they don't want to spend their money.
No, with her, because it sounds like there's this battle between her mind and maybe her heart, or it's almost like the social expectation is coming in, but then her brain is saying, no, invest in the IRA. And an IRA, for anyone that doesn't know, in other parts,
it's a retirement account.
A retirement account. So she's saying invest in the future, but also buy my dinner.
Well, it's the same. It's the same. We all have these things that society has told us, but then we don't quite agree and we're not sure what to do. Last time I was here, we talked about how you don't necessarily need to buy a house in order to live a rich life. And in my case, I have rented for the last 20 years by choice, and I made more money renting and investing the difference than I would have by buying a house. And this is shocking to people. Like, we saw the comments last time. People went berserk. How can you talk about renting? You're just throwing money away on rent. And this is something we have been fed constantly for generations, that in order to be successful, you must buy a house. So when somebody like me comes around and says, actually, you should run the numbers because sometimes renting can be better, people are shocked. Same thing with if you want to be taken care of, or you want someone to treat you, or you want someone to pay for the first date. Same thing when men come and they talk about being a provider, but in certain relationships where they actually earn less, I'll say to them, if we look at the numbers, you're not the provider. So who are you? And they're stumped. And that is when we need to start grappling with the idea that maybe what we were told is not exactly true for us in our situation today. And that's okay.
Do you think it causes more problems when in terms of the relationship dynamics and that sort of emasculation and, that the man not feeling like a provider when the woman earns more money than the man, from what you've seen?
Not necessarily. I think that it is a different framework than we're used to.
Yeah.
When we think about my parents, for example, my mom stayed home with us. My dad went to work, single earner. Simple. Everybody knew where they stood, what the roles were. It was very simple. It's very difficult to do that today. Housing is historically expensive. Healthcare is expensive, especially in the US. And so you have two people earning. In urban cities, you have young women earning more than men in their 20s. A lot of us are trying to figure out, what does this role mean for me and for my partner and for our relationship? That makes it tricky.
I wonder if a lot of men are just choosing to remain.
All right, go ahead, True.
I agree with him, but I partially disagree with him from the point that he made it about if your woman makes more than you and you're the man, you're not clearly the provider. I think that we have a unique opportunity to explore what that looks like now. Because I think we've narrowed it down to provision is solely money. I personally think that if you are lucky enough as a woman to land a man, and what I mean by a man, I mean someone who functions on all cylinders, well-traveled, well-spoken, well-read, comes from a good family, knows how to make money, maybe not a whole bunch, but knows how to make money. And then he's industrious, right? Provisions come from him because we live different lives, wisdom, how to network, how to save. So I think what has happened is that if the woman makes more money, that would make sense depending on what she's doing. She goes to school to be a surgeon, she gonna make money. Lawyer, make money. I think our ecosystem that we have, people are not looking at it correctly because we never participated equally in the workforce. That's the only thing that's going on. So it will make sense. And I argued this probably about a year ago. So it should not shock men that women make money. They go to work. They have careers. That's going to translate into dollars. So what I think we need to do is figure out what provisions look like for us. And me personally, I don't think you can ever lose as a man being the best version of yourself. What that looks like. You trying to compete with her is a waste of time if that is your mindset. And I'll land it there.
Okay. Anybody else want to add on to that?
I would just say I never felt like less of a man if I had a girlfriend at the time and she was making more money than me at the time. That never emasculated me at all. For some men, I can see how that could fluctuate, but your masculinity is within you, so you don't really just kind of push it off to the side or to the back burner. Or if you had masculine males around you when you were growing up, it's kind of embedded in you. So that doesn't just get removed because you end up, not with the same finances as your partner or more finances than your partner.
What do you think determines if you're masculine or not?
Masculine, to me, is more so of, your leadership skills and qualities, obviously your provision, your protection, your principles, morals, and values, which we all could say we have, but I genuinely like to connect those to source or the creator God. I don't really follow any religions, but I do believe that there is a higher power, above us. And those are like the dominant qualities.
So the question was, who do you think determines your masculinity? Or
Who
if you're a
determines
masculine man?
You, as the man. You can have other people outside of you say whether you're masculine or not, but I feel like we determine that within ourselves. You know if you're walking your life as a masculine male, and you know if you've taken on more of your feminine quality traits and are leading with that as well. Sometimes it could be by the way you speak, by the way you walk, by the way you handle certain situations. It's a few things that go into that kind of recipe, but for a lot of the situations I've been through, I didn't really comprehend my walk in my masculinity until I had to go sit down for a long period of time around all men. And I always felt like I knew I was a masculine man, but then as they started relaying that message to me, it just only gave me confirmation that I am walking in my masculine energy.
Okay, go ahead, Cookie.
Once upon a time, somebody asked me what I rated myself, and I said a fucking 10 with pride. And then this psychopath told me that the only person you can't rate yourself a 10, it got to be somebody else. So I'm wondering if JR is getting at the fact that is it other people? Like, do you feel like that other people contribute to you being labeled masculine, or is it just yourself? Which I totally agree with. I feel like you couldn't be able to say, yeah, I'm a masculine man without somebody questioning it. But do you feel like society has come to the point where like you can't say you masculine? That's too cocky. We determine, the women determine if you're masculine. I mean, like, you know,
Yeah,
it
I
just
get, I get, I get what you're saying, but for the most part, it has to be you who determines that. Yes, the other people can reflect that. Now, as far as rating myself and doing all these other things, that's completely different, you know,
I don't think it's different. How's that different?
because I could say that I'm a 10, but the market is going to show me what my rating is.
The market can't show you if you're masculine or not.
I guess it would depend on the market.
Say,
They can
say,
make a
say, say no, brother.
decision
That's a
on
trick
if
question.
they
Say no.
feel as though I'm masculine. But when you put this walk of life and masculinity next to someone who they feel is masculine, them attributes are always going to be pretty similar. Men
They
are
go
men
both.
all around the board, whether we're in the States or whether we're overseas in Asia.
Okay, okay, I got you. Got it, Gerald. I made my point.
I think that it depends on the. I think a big part of it depends on the observer. So there's a we could one could arguably say Andrew Tate is an extremely masculine man, right? But there can be men, masculine men, that say Andrew Tate is not a masculine man. There can be a type of man that's on the opposite side of the spectrum that respectably could be considered uh, um, a masculine man. I'm trying to think of the gentleman's name. Jr. We share a lot of his videos. I think he's bald with the beard. He has the book, the 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 man that the moment calls upon, or some shit like that. What's his name?
Oh, you talking Jason?
Jason. What's his last name?
Wilson with the gray beard?
Yeah, bald guy with the gray beard. He does like the he
This is
had
one.
like the video. He had the video with the young kids. They was doing like
Yeah.
karate, some
Yeah, you
shit.
talking about Jason Wilson, I think his name is.
I need what Viz drinking.
All right, so Jason Wilson is that do say. So Jason Wilson could arguably say that Andrew Tate is not a masculine man, and Andrew Tate could arguably say that Jason Wilson isn't a masculine man. Both of these men could be considered masculine, but depending on who it is that's observing it and who's and what side of the spectrum they're on, that's how they would essentially gauge it in a sense.